too.
Here? I thought he was out of town. Oh, okay. Okay. Good evening. Welcome to the meeting of the Skokie Village Board for Monday, January the 6th, 2020. Happy New Year. This evening, we will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Village Clerk Pramod Shah. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under
under
God,
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The meeting will come to order, and the clerk will please call the roll.
Trustee Roberts.
Here?
Trustee Sutker.
Here.
Trustee Ulrich.
Here.
Trustee Bromberg. Here. Trustee Klein.
Here.
Trustee Gray Keeler.
Here.
Mayor Van Dusen.
Here, we have a quorum. Next item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda for this evening's meeting. A motion is in order. Trustee Roberts, seconded by Trustee Ulrich. Is there anything on the consent agenda anybody would like to have removed? If not,
Trustee Roberts.
I vote aye.
Trustee Sutker.
Aye.
Trustee Ulrich.
Aye.
Trustee Bromberg.
Aye.
Trustee Klein.
Aye.
Trustee Gray Keeler.
Aye.
Mayor Van Dusen.
aye, the motion passes. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our village clerk, Pramod Shah, who this evening will do the honors, the swearing in of Timothy Grammons as our new police commander.
Thank you.
And before Pramod begins, I'd introduce our police chief, Tony Scarpelli, who flew back just for this evening's meeting. Welcome back, Chief. And our fire chief, Jeff Hoflick, is also with us. Chief, welcome. Mr. Clerk.
All right. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I
I,
state your name, please.
Timothy Grammons,
Having been appointed to
having been appointed to
the office of police commander
the office of police commander
in the village of Skokie,
in the village of
in the
Skokie,
county of Cook,
in the county of Cook,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
Constitution of the state of Illinois,
the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of police commander
the duties of police commander
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Ordinarily, at this point, we would ask our new commander to introduce his family and friends who have accompanied this evening, but I'm going to take one brief departure from the norm. I don't know how many of you are aware, but Commander Grammons is a true hero in every sense of the word. When we talk about our police officers defending our community and beyond, that is especially true of Commander Grammons. On August 25th, 2008, a date which Officer Grammons certainly remembers well, he stopped a car that matched the description of a bank robbery that had occurred in Northbrook, Illinois. The driver exited the car, shooting at Officer Grammons. Fortunately, Officer Grammons returned the fire through his windshield. Now, for a moment, just think what it takes to have that kind of reflex. Somebody is firing at you. I don't know about you, but I'd be ducking or trying to find a way out of the car. The commander fired through the windshield, and fortunately, he fatally wounded the suspect at the scene. There were a total of 55 shots fired. Our commander showed great courage and determination in facing an armed assailant that was trying to kill him. In addition to that, that courage, I think, has showed our community the value and the importance of good training for our officers. Whatever the cost, it saves our officers' lives. It also saves our community. Remember, this was somebody who had committed bank robbery. After the shooting, Officer Grammons was at the White House, 2009, receiving the National Association of Police Organizations Top Cop Award. In addition, he received the Chief's Award of Valor, the Sheriff's Law Enforcement Medal of Honor, the Illinois Law Enforcement Medal of Honor, Illinois State Police. And strange enough, I happened to be in Springfield with Michael's predecessor, and we were walking around trying to buttonhole state legislators, and there was a group of police officers, and I just walked over because I thought I saw a familiar face. Turned out it was a couple of our very own, and I said, "What's going on?" And they said, "We're honoring Grammons today." The Carmen Romano Police Officer of the Year Award was also conferred, and fittingly, the Village of Northbrook and its village trustees conferred on Officer Grammons the special recognition for heroism. That's the kind of men and women who represent us on the police force. Each year we do, or every 3 years, we do a survey. It's done by a company outside of Skokie, and its job essentially is to do this kind of thing around the country. It surveys organizations within the community and outside of the community. This last year, we won the Medal of Honor, called the Voice of the People Honor, for having the biggest transformation in public service of any municipality in the United States. Commander Grammons is an example of that kind of thing. And Officer, Commander, congratulations this evening. Today is January the 6th. On January the 3rd, just a couple days ago, the commander celebrated 25 years with the Skokie Police Force. So would you introduce your wife and your family?
Sure. So first of all, I'd like to thank you, Mayor Van Duzen, and all the village trustees for your wisdom and leadership of the village. It's appreciated. Thank you, Village Manager Lockerbie and Assistant Manager Wyatt, for your leadership and guidance with making Skokie an outstanding place to live and work. Thank you, Chief Scarpelli, for your promotion, for this promotion, your past, current, and continued leadership of a truly exemplary police department. Thank you, Deputy Chief Baker, Deputy Chief Wyman, for your assistance and mentorship. It's greatly appreciated. My wife, I'd like to introduce my wife, Colette. She's here with my son, Matt. My 2 daughters unfortunately couldn't make it. I'd like to thank my family for their understanding, their love, and support of my career. I'd like to introduce my parents, Tom and Mary, are here as well. They were able to make it.
Welcome.
And they did an outstanding job raising their 7 children, me one of those, and instilling us the value of service. I'd like to introduce my sister Monica, who was able to make it, the oldest of the 7. So she survived that. And
I
finally, I'd
don't
like
see
to
too
thank
many scars.
Tim Voss is here today. He was actually there for my shooting from Lakewood. He's become a good friend. So
Welcome.
it's really nice to have him here. And I'd like to thank all the police officers, firefighters, emergency responders, and civil servants in attendance tonight. Your dedication to the members of this community are ever inspiring. And it's an honor to serve at the Village of Skokie with all of you. So it's greatly appreciated. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We're proud of you. And I think it's only fitting that next up, our Commissioner Nicole Podest will be swearing in our newest recruit.
All right. Good evening, Mayor Van Dusen, trustees, Police Chief Scarpelli, Fire Chief Hopelick, and all of us who are here on this very special evening. I want to especially acknowledge the family and friends of tonight's inductee. Tonight, we're here for the swearing in of our newest Village of Skokie police officer. We must never forget that the men and women who serve as our first responders in our village deserve our respect and admiration. They are often the first on the scene of a tragedy or crime and provide security and comfort to those who are suffering. We invest our police officers with authority to promote and keep the peace, and they deserve our support and gratitude as they do their jobs. It is now my great honor to have the opportunity to begin the swearing-in ceremony. So if you raise your right hand. So I, Jonathan No,
I, Jonathan Ngo,
do solemnly swear that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America,
do solemnly swear that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America,
State of Illinois,
State of Illinois,
the ordinances of the Village of Skokie,
the ordinances of the Village of Skokie,
and the rules and regulations
and the rules and regulations
of the Police Department
of the Police Department,
and the Skokie Board of Fire and Police Commission,
and the Skokie Board of Fire and Police Commission,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of a police officer to the best of my ability.
of a police officer to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. And then if I could just have you sign and date right here, and then all the commissioners will sign it. Okay, thank you.
No, officer, no. Nice try, nice try. You're going to have to get used to this. Please introduce your family and friends to us.
No family and friends here, sir.
Okay. Welcome.
Thank
We're
you.
proud to have you. You're following, as you just heard, in a pretty courageous and grand department. This is a department that is nationally recognized as a flagship department. It's a model for the rest of the country, and we are enormously proud. I referred to the survey that we take every 3 years, and the police department and the fire department both rank, according to our residents, in the 90th percentile. It's a great department. You're following in a great tradition, and we welcome you, and we hope to see you back for promotions and social gatherings. So welcome to the department. We're proud to have you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Let's take a couple minutes break so everybody can congratulate our new commander and our new officer.
Nicole.
Holiday.
The village board meeting will be back in session. Next item on the agenda is report of our village manager, John Lockerbie.
Thank you, Mayor Van Duzen and village trustees. Good evening, everyone. This evening, I have no report. Thank you.
Next item is report of our Corporation Counsel, Michael Lord.
I could say ditto, but instead I'll say, good evening, everyone. I have no report this evening, and that would conclude my matters.
And I think this is the first time, certainly within my memory, that the village manager and the Corporation Council did not have a report
Or we're speechless.
or were speechless. Next item is report of our Plan Commission. Chairman Paul Luke, accompanied by Matt Brandmeier. Welcome, Matt.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board. I have one case tonight, case 2019-43P, a zoning chapter amendment for art dealers, supplies, sales, and service in an M1 office assembly industry district. At the December 5th meeting of the Plan Commission, we reviewed the request of Jeff Liebert of Art of North and Central Chicagoland at 7821 Grosse Point Road to amend Appendix A of the zoning chapter of the Village Code to make art dealers, supplies, sales, and service a permitted use in the M1 office assembly industry zoning district. The use meets the intent of the zoning district. It is currently a permitted use in an NX, TX, CX, B1, B2, B3, and B4 districts, and nowhere is it a special use. Many of the businesses falling under the use tend to be geared towards retail sales of art and art supplies and require street presence within a business-zoned district. However, the service side of the use, which involves repair and restoration of works of art, can be performed by businesses located within an M1 zoned building where space is available for specialized equipment and customer traffic is lower. Limited retail uses such as sales of art and art supplies within the industrial zoning districts are allowed with a special use permit, provided that the retail use not exceed the lesser of 5,000 square feet or 10% of the total gross floor area. Other types of resales that are usually associated with large amounts of storage area, such as cars, furniture, and appliances, are also allowed in the M1 zoning district. The Plan Commission concurs with staff to grant the subdivision approval subject to conditions.
A motion on Plan Commission Case 2019-43P is in order. Trustee Klein, seconded by Trustee Gray Keeler. Are there any comments or any questions on this case? If not, call the roll, please.
Trustee Roberts.
Aye.
Trustee Sutker.
Aye.
Trustee Ulrich.
Aye.
Trustee Bromberg.
Aye.
Trustee Klein.
Aye.
Trustee Gray Keeler.
Aye.
Mayor Van Dusen.
Aye, the motion passes.
That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next item on the agenda is the 2021 Community Development Block Grant Public Hearing Number 2. Carrie Haberstich.
All right, good evening. Tonight is the second public hearing to prepare for the village's Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG, programming for the 2020 to 2021 program year, which we'll refer to as Program Year 20. The first hearing, held on December 16th, reviewed the progress of the current year's projects and the overall objectives of the CDBG program. Tonight's hearing will involve a brief review of village proposals for next year, but is primarily intended to give representatives of community organizations the opportunity to present their funding requests directly to the board. The board has received a memorandum and overview of the funding requests, along with copies of the proposals. The next hearing for Program Year 20 will be conducted on Monday, February 3rd, when budget recommendations will be presented and preliminary project allocations will be determined. By policy, the village encourages citizen participation at all public hearings and particularly welcomes the input of low and moderate income citizens who are intended to be the primary beneficiaries of this program. The village's entitlement grant is not known at this time. We are currently using an estimate of $600,000, which is slightly less than the current program year's entitlement amount. The 5-year consolidated plan and 1-year action plan will not be finalized until the amount is specified by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, but we may proceed with our typical public hearing schedule. The final entitlement amount will affect the caps for administrative expenses and public services. In addition to the new entitlement, we expect to use roughly $50,000 in unobligated funds from the past that we can apply to construction projects. A small amount of program income might be available to impact the services cap. And just a side note, the village receives program income when homes previously assisted by our CDBG-funded home improvement program are sold within 15 years after the repairs are made. At this time, our overall estimated budget is $650,000, which also accommodates a reserve of unobligated funds that could be used for cost overruns, emergency expenses, or future construction projects. Proposals from the village and community agencies total over $950,000, so reductions will be necessary. The CDBG program is intended to be a bricks and mortar for bricks and mortar projects. Therefore, at least 65% of our budget must be allocated to construction, capital improvement, or rehabilitation projects, as that was the original vision of this program. And based on the village's typical funding distribution of maximizing the 20% administrative and 15% public services funding caps, the public services request will need to be reduced by over $110,000, and the construction and rehab projects will need to be reduced by over $190,000. The February budget recommendations will be the result of considering each proposal by the necessity of the work, the requested funding amounts, CDBG eligibility, and HUD's program administration expectations. Village proposals will be presented first, and I will then respond to any questions from the village board regarding these proposals. Then agency representatives will be invited to give a brief overview of their funding requests for the coming year. 2-minute limit. Any new applicants who are not current grantees or a new applicant representative of an existing grantee are asked to give a brief introduction of their organizations or themselves, in addition to providing a brief overview of the funding requests, so that's a total of 3 minutes. The mayor will call the agencies in the order of the proposals. Right here. And if the board would like to follow along with the PDF of the agenda, tonight's agenda packet, please note that the overview summary begins on page 33. The village proposals begin on page 42. The public and facility construction proposals begin on page 49. And the public services proposals begin on page 215. Since we alternate presentation order each year, the construction and rehabilitation requests will go first, followed by the public services requests. And we do have one organization that submitted separate construction and service applications, so they'll provide the transition from one to the other. So with that said, the village proposals. Our first request is for funding for our social worker position. Roughly 80% of the hours, roughly 60% of the hours for this position goes towards helping vulnerable residents. And so the request is to fund the position at 60% for next year in the amount of $52,057. The next request is the home improvement program, which helps improve and maintain home owner-occupied homes by low-income residents, and a request of $70,000 is requested for this coming year. And then we do have a request for an affordable housing initiative building upon this current year's initiative. And the request at this time is $150,000 as we sift through the options for how we can use this for either acquisition or property improvement. And then we have a street resurfacing request. We have 2 requests from engineering. So the first one is for our street resurfacing program. Both street segments are located in Census Block Group 8077-1. So it will be roughly a half mile of street resurfacing just south of Oakton Street and north of Oakton Community College. And the selection was based on not only an eligible area, but then also based on the updated analysis of the existing pavement conditions. Okay. And then last but not least, for the village proposals, application for $3,000 for the 50/50 sidewalk program, in which the village pays for half of the replacement of public sidewalks, and the CDBG would pay the homeowners half for eligible households. The focus area will be bounded by Gulf Road to the north, Church Street to the south, and the eastern and western village limits, and upon request, if there's some sidewalks that show that they need some replacement before it's their turn in that particular area of the village. Any questions for the village requests?
Okay, Trustee Sutker and Trustee Roberts both have recused themselves to avoid any appearance of conflict of interest. Each one has a specific association with one of the organizations that's requesting funding. I wanted to make that announcement so nobody thought that they were uninterested in the CDBG program, but we want to simply make sure that there isn't even the appearance of a conflict of interest. And by way of introduction, I would like to thank all of you for being here this evening. We did our best to bring good weather. Some of you may remember, I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, it was close to 0 out, and under normal circumstances, we would have canceled the village board meeting, except Carrie had sent out her traditional memo threatening people that they better damn well show up. So we figured we better damn well show up as well. And we had nearly 100% attendance that night. So thank you for coming out on good weather. We do appreciate everything that all of you do. Much of the work that you do is behind the scenes. It's work with families. Much of it is of a private nature, and we don't all see it. But by having you here this evening, you remind us of just exactly the enormous amount of work that is done every day in this community. If you look at the chart, we have listed 22 community organizations, each one of which does invaluable work for the village. And it serves all of us as elected officials to be reminded of the kind of work that you do. And hopefully it will also generate at least a little bit of publicity through the news media and those people who do stay up and view our board meetings. Many of you work with the village, specifically with our Human Services Department, and I'd like to just introduce Beth Lindley, who's the director of our Human Services Department. I think all of you know Beth, and if you do not, get acquainted, please. She's just in the back there. So, Beth, welcome. Thank you for coming this evening. The first organization that is up is HODC. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Richard Koenig. I'm the Executive Director of Housing Opportunity Development Corporation. We are a nonprofit that develops and manages affordable housing throughout Chicago's northern suburbs. In fact, the first 2 buildings that HODC ever developed are located right here in Skokie. We've been a property owner in Skokie since 1987. We currently own and manage 6 properties here in the village, but we have over 350 units that we develop and manage throughout the northern suburbs of Chicagoland. So trying to create affordable housing in a very unaffordable area. We're proud to have our affiliation with Skokie and have our properties located here. And our request tonight is to be able to proactively improve those properties. We have 2 buildings located up on Conrad that were our original buildings, and we completely rehabbed those buildings in 2010. And in order to make them affordable and decent housing for low-income families for the foreseeable future. And tonight we are requesting funding to provide security cameras for one of those buildings. And a couple of years ago, the village graciously offered some funds to do that, provide a grant, provide cameras at one of the buildings. And we'd like to proactively increase the safety and security for those tenants living in those units by providing additional security cameras for those buildings so that we can continue to maintain them and operate them for the future.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it very much. Wings is the next organization.
I feel really short. Good evening, Mayor and trustees. I take 2 seconds to introduce myself. I'm new with Wings. My name is Letitia Fiorito. I'm the Government Relations Manager. And on behalf of Wings, I'd just like to say thank you for all of your support that you've given us. I know for more than 10 years. And I think, as I said, I've been with Wings for just hit 5 months the other day. Hopefully, if you have any questions, I can answer them. On behalf of Wings, we are requesting to, as very similar as the gentleman said before, is that we're requesting to update the property that we have in Skokie, which is barely a half mile away. Fortunately, we didn't tax Carrie that much when we gave her the tour. Wings, as you may know, has been serving the greater Chicagoland and suburban area for more than 35 years for victims of domestic violence. And we have found that this property that we've owned for more than 10 years has 4 different units. And if I can, sorry.
Take your time, it's okay.
Thanks. Obviously, when adults and families are coming out of domestic violence situation, they first have to go through the emergency housing that can, provide them that emergency short-term stability of 90 to 120 days. However, with the transitional housing, which is so important, it provides that next critical piece of healing through pride and through a safe and secure spot, which is what this home does in Skokie. The transitional housing provides 6 months to 6 to 24 months of healing and allows that adult and that family to reestablish themselves and to do that with pride. And Wings holds all of our properties. We have approximately 17 different locations within Cook and Lake County that we allow our residents to do that, but at the highest expectations, just as we would want our homes to be, is the type of home that we want our residents to be healing in. And so with that, we are requesting to refurbish the flooring in each apartment unit in the building, from carpet to wooden linoleum. That'll extend the life of the property, and it'll also make it a little bit more livable, higher quality type of housing.
Letitia, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Great job.
All right, thanks.
Good. Comments, questions? Okay. Turning Point.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Seltz. I'm the Development Director at Turning Point Behavioral Health Care Center, and I'm here with Raina Trayanova, who is our Office and Facilities Manager. Turning Point is an outpatient community mental health center serving approximately 1,300 clients a year, both adults and children, starting at age 5, about 90% of whom are low income. Turning Point is applying for funding to improve accessibility to our crisis center and to replace one of our 11 rooftop HVAC units, which control heating and cooling in our Skokie Boulevard facility. With the very greatly appreciated support of the Skokie CDBG program, we have been gradually upgrading our aging HVAC units over the past 4 years. And we hope to continue that process, prioritizing the next unit, which is most in need of replacement, while also making a repair and accessibility upgrade to our east entrance. The accessibility upgrade would consist of removing and repouring the concrete entry area to the living room, our walk-in crisis center. This concrete entry is crumbling apart and very much in need of repair. The repair will improve both safety and accessibility. The HVAC upgrades we've been working on have helped to replace aging units that have been consistently problematic, resulting in repeated repairs, damaging leaks, fluctuating temperatures, and poor energy efficiency. Several of the units have experienced hail damage that has undermined efficiency, so all of the new units are being installed with hail guards so as to maximize their lifetimes and better protect them from the weather. Turning Point provides a wide array of mental health services and crisis support. And we're so grateful to the Village of Skokie for supporting our work and for helping us to support all the activities under our roof. So thank you so very much for your past support and for your consideration.
Thank you. Comments or questions?
Questions?
Thank you for coming this
Thank you.
evening. The next organization is Shore.
Good evening. I'm Mary Matz. I'm the Senior Philanthropy Officer at Shore Community Services, which has been in existence since 1951. And during that time, decades worth, Skokie has been a home for dozens of our residents. So we have a number of group homes, actually one in Skokie, one in Evanston. There's 2 SILAs, which are community integrated living arrangements, and we have 2 day programs. One is at the Lois Lloyd Center, which is your former police station, and the other is in Morton Grove. We do serve 101 Skokie residents, which is representative of about a third of our overall population, which 319 were served in fiscal year 19, which ended in June 30th. So we appreciate the support that we've been given over the course of obviously decades, and the opportunity to be here this evening. What we're looking to do over the course of literally probably the last 2 years, we have been updating our mechanical equipment at the Lois Lloyd Center that has roughly 90 adults who are severe and profound, some are on the moderate side, but mostly severe and profound disabilities that attend the day program, which focuses primarily on developmental training, adaptive daily living, and there's another program over there called Life in Motion, Your Choice Program, which gives our clients more opportunities to make choices on how they're going to spend their day. With that being said, a lot of funding from Skokie as well as Cook County has gone into these upgrades, which we would not have been able to afford to upgrade without that support. We've installed a new digital control panel, a new HVAC unit, and they're called variable air volume boxes or VAV boxes. They're kind of like the dampers in the ceilings, which obviously all help the air conditioning unit run much more efficiently. What we're looking to do is replace 2 fans on the 2 air handler units that we have, and replace 2 VAV boxes. The fans are original, not in the best shape, and they're not helping to optimize the recycling of air. So as air comes from the unit, it's supposed to go back around, and that's where, like, between the fans and the VAV boxes, you're actually getting outside air in some ways to kind of not use the HVAC unit, which obviously would reduce energy costs if they were working at the optimal level. What else do we have to say? Our priority would be the fans, and then secondly, the VAV boxes. There are 31 units. We've replaced 5 through CDBG grant, and we have 11 that are going to be replaced in the probably next month or so, and that's coming through Skokie as well. So literally with 31, there's a lot of them that have to be replaced, and primarily with the new digital control panel, the VAV boxes they don't interface right now because they're pneumatic in nature, and the ones that do work, they're not working to the best of their abilities. So obviously with these upgrades, it's going to be obviously more cost efficient and make for a more comfortable environment, especially with our clients who, a lot of them do have medical conditions as well. So we're very concerned about obviously preventing seizures from occurring. So thank you.
Thank you. CJE Senior Life.
Good evening, Mayor Van Dusen, trustees. I'm David Guthridge. I'm Director of Affordable Housing for CJE Senior Life, and I'm here to represent CJE this evening. Our mission at CJE is to enhance the quality of life and to facilitate the independence of older adults through programs in life enrichment, supportive housing and resources, healthcare, and research and education. Each year, CJE programs benefit 20,000 diverse clients and caregivers. Most participants reside in Chicago's North Side neighborhoods and north and northwest suburbs, and most live close to or below the poverty line and receive free or subsidized services. Today, we are seeking your assistance to assist us with coping restoration project. The Village Center is a subsidized senior apartment building at 5140 Gaylett Street, just next door. This 150-unit independent living apartment building is home to 196 mostly very low to low-income Skokie residents age 62 or older. Most residents have an annual household income of $10,000 or below, and Village Center is one of a few subsidized senior independent living apartment buildings in Skokie. There are currently no vacancies, and the waiting list has been consistently long for years. When Village Center was constructed, the flashing was not installed at the roof copings. The blueprints dated May 3rd, 1976, do not even provide instructions for flashings at the copings. The prints do call for precast concrete and include instructions that all exposed exterior concrete surfaces to have 2 coats of Sun and Dorn white rock waterproofing. Well, today's waterproofing, if you're lucky, lasts 10 years, and we don't know how long this lasted. We've had water intrusion issues at the Village Center for some time. In 2016, December of 2016, we completed the complete removal and replacement of the roof. And then in May of 2017, we completed a very significant tuck pointing masonry project where we actually replaced bricks and did pinpoint focused tuck pointing replacement at the masonry where it was obviously having problems. That was a very long project spanning a few months. This coping project, we're proposing to wrap the top coping that's surrounding the perimeter of the roof of the building with aluminum and then caulking that to provide a completely very long-term water solution so that it's waterproof. This, we believe, will be one of the final phases in terms of making this building safer and more waterproof and help it last for the generations.
You say this was 1976?
The building was built in 79. The prints I have are from 76, sir. Yes.
Wow. Long time ago.
It is. Any questions?
Any comments or questions? No.
Thank you for your
Thank you,
time, and
David.
thank you for your continued and past support. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. The next organization is Search. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm new, so I'll introduce myself. I'm Corey Gum. I'm the new Chief Executive Officer at Search. And today is my first day on the job, so I think I get the prize for the newest. So I've been
Let's
at
get
Search
the
for
questions
several
out.
years. Don't grill me too hard. So
Congratulations.
No, thank you, thank you. Search is a nonprofit organization that provides housing, employment, and supportive services to over 500 individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities annually. We currently operate 30 community-based homes for individuals with disabilities throughout Chicago and the suburbs. And Skokie is a wonderful home to 85 of our folks with disabilities, and we have 14 residential homes within the village of Skokie. And at Search, we take great pride in maintaining beautiful and accessible homes that are very well integrated into the community, and I know our folks are always out and about enjoying Skokie life. And the Village of Skokie has been an extremely important partner to us and has been very gracious in funding us for several years. So in helping to maintain and improve several of our community-based homes through your CDBG program. So this year we are respectfully seeking funding for an accessible ramp for a home that is located on Enfield in Skokie. The home is residence to 6 ladies with intellectual disabilities who are all very low income and rely on Search to essentially meet all of their basic needs. So your renewed support would significantly improve the accessibility of the home. This home has several ladies who are aging, some with mobility challenges, and many of the women who reside there are actually very long-term residents of Skokie, and some have even lived in that home for over 2 decades. So they're very vested in this community. So the addition of an accessible ramp will allow for easier access to and from the home, as well as access to their beautiful lawn space out back when the weather is not so chilly. And most importantly, gives us an accessible exit route in the case of emergencies. So we feel that's the most important part of this project. So thank you for your consideration, and we appreciate your ongoing support of Search.
And I want to make sure I have your name correct.
Sure.
Corey Gum?
Gum,
G-U-M?
G-U-M-M.
2 M's.
Yep.
Well, thank you for the
Thank
good
you.
weather.
I'll take credit for that.
Hope we can provide the same next year.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Orchard Village. This is not your first rodeo.
I thank you so much for all that you have done for Orchard Village over the years. Orchard Village, similar to Search, we serve adults with developmental disabilities. Orchard Village maintains 7 group homes in Skokie. And I'm, thanking you for the help with replacing the windows at a house on Floral right down the street. They're very nice. Thank you very much. We have 2 more houses in Skokie that I would very much like to replace the electrical boxes. The electrical boxes were original equipment. One, it is very hard to get new circuit breakers. They're outdated. The replacement parts are no longer available. And the other one is also original equipment, but it honestly is not sufficient to support the building. It's one of those you can only have appliances on and part of the building at a time. It really needs to be upgraded and would really appreciate the additional support. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our transition organization this evening is Asian Human Services. Welcome.
Good evening and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
First of all, I'd like to, my name is Mohammed Paracha. I'm the CEO of AHS Family Health Center. I'd like to thank for your past year's support and thank you for this opportunity. So AHS Family Health Center is a federally qualified health center. It's been operational in Skokie for the last, actually more than 5 years now. We are providing integrated primary care, behavioral health, and oral health services. And as far as I know, we are the only federally qualified health center located in Skokie providing oral health services, that is dental services to the Skokie resident. Last year, meaning in 2018, we served approximately 1,600 Skokie residents, and 50% of our patients are actually uninsured. Majority of the patient, actually more than 90%, fall below 200% federal poverty level, and actually more than 80% are fall below 100% poverty level. So we are applying for 2 projects. One is a small project, construction rehab. 2 of our, the Skokie Clinic, which is located at 8800 North Lockwood Avenue, the 2 exhaust fan which are installed or on the roof are not working, so we would like to replace those with the CDBG support. And then on the services side, we are requesting the ongoing support from the trustees through the CDBG funds. We would be subsidizing the partial salary of one of the dental assistants so that we can continue to provide oral health services. Any questions?
Any comments, questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Keep up the good work. Under the public services category, the first organization is JCFS.
Children and Family Services.
Yes. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Ruth Fruhoff. I'm the Director of Community Counseling and oversee the financial counseling program. I want to thank you, and the agency wants to thank you for your past support. We've gotten money since 2014, which has been helpful, and we feel very lucky and fortunate. The dollars that we get are used to offset a position that's in Skokie, financial counseling and case management position. This past year, we served 77 individuals and families who are low income. We meet with clients in order to better understand their situations and get to know them. The purpose is to create more stable financial environments as well as to promote adaptive functioning and self-sufficiency. We advocate, the Financial Council will advocate with landlords, mortgage brokers, public aid officers, as well as to make connections for people with other community resources. Clients receive knowledge of any state or federal benefits they may not receive. They could get referrals to prescription drug companies for their discount programs, legal assistance, employment services, and at times we give people financial dollars. We have also started to do more financial literacy, both as a 1 or 2 time program or an 8-week group, in order to help people know more money management, as well as to have a better idea of what got them into that situation and how to help them better navigate dollars. So, I don't know if there's any questions. I feel like I talked really fast.
We're familiar with JCFS.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Center for Enriched Living.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor Van Dusen and trustees. I'm Harriet Levy, the CEO of the Center for Enriched Living. Nice weather we have tonight, thankfully. The center's been around for more than 50 years. Quite simply, you have to think of 3 words that describe us: include, achieve, enjoy. For most people with developmental disabilities in this state, the state of Illinois, which ranks about 47th in the nation for funding for people with developmental disabilities, agencies that we're hearing about tonight, we are here to fill those gaps and to meet the needs of youth, teens, adults, and seniors with developmental disabilities. Many are isolated. They're experiencing 85% unemployment. They don't have the opportunities. Many don't drive, so it's hard to get around. So we're there to fill those gaps. We have a beautiful universal design. It's a 20,000 square foot universal design building in Riverwoods, but we serve the Skokie area. We have after-school programs for teens at Niles Township. We have summer camps. We have social programs. We pick up at the Skokie Swift throughout the week. We have about 12 to 15 vans that are throughout the community. We have an employment program so that adults aged 22 and older are able to find jobs in the community, in paying jobs out in the community. They're working at Panera, they're working at Mariano's, they're working at bookstores, at thrift shops. Everybody wants to belong, and everybody wants to work, and everybody wants to have meaning and purpose to their day. So that's what we do at the Center for Enriched Living. So we're here to ask for your support of our programming for the Skokie residents of all ages, from teenage to seniors. Thank you so much for your continued support.
Thank you. Include, achieve, enjoy.
Include, achieve, enjoy. Quite simple.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Very memorable. Meals on Wheels, Northeast Illinois. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, trustees. Meals on Wheels is formerly known as Meals at Home. So in case that one threw you, we've been working through that most of the year, although a lot of people called us Meals on Wheels even before. So for those who don't know, Meals on Wheels is a program that is, for the most part, focused on making sure seniors have access to good nutrition, regardless of income level. We also help people who may not necessarily be a senior, but are unable to prepare meals on their own. So people who have some sort of obstacle that prevents them from eating appropriate food, and appropriate food can mean accommodating a special diet, like a renal diet or diabetic, that sort of thing. So I think you're all familiar with us at this point. I've been here before. We've been trying to build this kitchen so we could produce our own food that is really great quality, and we keep chasing the opening date on that. So we think we will open in February. We've moved into the building in November and have, as buildings go, I think everything that has been mentioned in the construction previously, we have run into with having to add on more dollars to our project, but we're getting there. We're very close and very excited about the possibility of serving a whole lot more people than we've been able to before, with some really great, fun food. So that's the update I have for you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
So you expect the opening to be next month?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been a long
quite an achievement.
time since we started talking about it, but thank you for all of your support.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Keep up the good work.
Thank
The Suburban Primary Health Care Council.
Good evening. My name is Kimberly Mertz, and I am the COO for Access to Care. The Suburban Primary Health Care Council facilitates the Access to Care program, and we are actually celebrating our 32nd year serving those in need. I've been lucky enough to be with this organization for 30 of those years. For those that aren't familiar with Access to Care, we provide primary health care services to low-income, uninsured, or underinsured residents of suburban Cook County. These are primarily residents that are not eligible for any other type of medical benefits. So we provide them with three key components: the ability to see a primary care doctor for $5 a visit, the ability to receive lab and radiology services for $5 a test, and the ability to receive prescription medication for $15 to $40 for a 30-day supply. These benefits are the core of the Access to Care program and are available on an unlimited as-needed basis. There has been some changes to the program since I've been was here last. We now offer behavioral health services, so our members are able to receive care through a clinical psychologist for $5 a session. In response to the opioid crisis, we have added coverage of addiction and substance abuse medications, including Narcan, and we have an opioid risk management program in place. We have also expanded our pharmacy contract, so our members are able to go to all major pharmacies throughout suburban Cook County. And we have been able to provide diabetic test strips as well as flu and pneumonia vaccines for free. This is really in line with what primary health care is looking like right now, and we are very excited to be able to add these changes to our program. We do not receive any federal funding or state funding. Our primary funder is Cook County, as well as the townships and the municipalities that we serve. Since our inception, we have served over 125,000 unduplicated individuals. And last year, we served just over 5,000. 27 of them were residents of Skokie. So we contract with providers that want to give back to their own communities, and we ask the communities to help support this mission. Your support would provide direct services to these Skokie residents. Does anybody have any questions?
You've been with Access to Care, did you say 30 years?
Since 1990.
Wow.
Yep, this is my 30th year.
Oh, congratulations.
Well, thank you. Yes.
That's a great record.
Why is it that you don't receive state and federal funding? I'm curious.
We have not been able to obtain state and federal funding. So we are primarily funded by Cook County. And as we know, Cook County funding is there, it's not. It's been with us for quite some time, but whether it will continue to be moving forward, we do not know. We have obtained funding through other organizations on a smaller scale, and we have someone in our office that is constantly looking at those grants and trying to do that. We've also been meeting with state reps at the end of 2019 and the beginning of 2020 to see what we can do, but Illinois state funding is not prevalent and has not been offered to us.
It's good that you have the mental health there. We need a lot more mental health places for people to go. Thank you.
I agree. Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The Assyrian Family Health Alliance.
Good evening, Mayor, Village Council. Thank you guys for having me here today. I'm here to represent the Assyrian Family Health Alliance, also known now as the United Family Health Alliance. We're requesting funding to hire a part-time certified phlebotomist, as well as a healthcare interpreter to assist uninsured and underinsured patients in finding access to affordable pharmacy care, along with lab testing and medical care. A brief overview of what we do over at the United Health Alliance, although it's nowhere near the robustness of what Access to Care provides. It's on a smaller scale here in the village of Skokie. We assist patients in finding access to affordable pharmacy care, along with point-of-care lab testing. We serve 890 chronic care patients whose demographic consists of 70 to 80% in the low to moderate income bracket. Although many of our patients are of Assyrian American descent, we are not restrictive in our efforts. Revenues generated from our lab help fund our copay assistance program for patients who cannot afford their medications at that pharmacy. And also, we help provide charitable contributions to other organizations that support a healthy and active lifestyle. As of last year, we assisted 193 patients with access to lab values they otherwise would not have received. 153 of those patients were considered out of range on one or more values on their lab tests, resulting in referrals for follow-ups with physicians. Unfortunately, some were not able to conduct those follow-ups due to language or psychosocial barriers, which is the reason why we're requesting a healthcare interpreter funding. This will help them gain access to federally qualified health centers within the village of Skokie, such as Asian Human Services, Heartland Health Centers, as well as Erie Family Clinics. Any questions?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Metropolitan Family Services is next.
Good evening, Mayor Van Dusen and trustees. My name is Mary Elston, and I am a bilingual Assyrian therapist at Metropolitan Family Services. I have grown up in Skokie, and it is really exciting for me to be standing up here. And, for the past 5 years, I've always worked under the CDBG grant, first as an intern and the following 4 years as, an employee. So it's been pretty exciting to see the families that we've touched and the families that we've been allowed to provide for. So the ultimate request here is, to be able to continue to provide for those low-income families. As you see, it is a great impact. It does a great impact for them, and we would like to continue that. So we do thank you for your ongoing support. I think that's it.
Thank you. Mary, you've been with Metropolitan for
5 years.
This
So
is your
the
fifth
first year was as an intern, and then they liked me enough to keep me. So I stuck around for another 4 years, and now
Well, I can
I'm
see
filling.
why.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Pure Services.
Good evening, Mayor Van Dusen and trustees. My name is Maureen McDonald. I'm the Executive Director at Peer Services. We are the Community Substance Abuse Treatment and Prevention Agency that serves Skokie and surrounding communities. In the last full plan year, we served 130 Skokie residents in our substance abuse treatment services, as well as increasing our work with the Skokie Niles schools, particularly focusing on the high schools as we see unfortunately expanded vaping and access to marijuana, recently legalized, as you all know, and the ongoing, challenge of persuading teens to not use alcohol or to use as little as possible. So we, as far as our substance abuse treatment services go, we more than 80% of our clients are low income, and the funds that you all provide through the CDBG help to cover what are otherwise uncovered costs of providing those treatment services to low income folks. On the prevention side, we've been working very closely with the Skokie Health Department, the Human Services Department, and the Niles High Schools this year to provide a more comprehensive approach to addressing vaping, trying to encourage teenagers to delay using or not use at all. If they've gotten in over their heads, to turn that around, and we can help them get out of that. And we've seen some real successes. We find that when teenagers, though they fight their parents really hard, when we provide them with facts and we are an outside party into the negotiation, sometimes that helps them turn things around. And so we've seen some real successes. We always appreciate your support and look forward to continuing to support the residents of Skokie.
Is it the flavored vape that seems to entice the teenagers, or is it just?
So that does seem to be part of it. I mean, there's a pretty aggressive marketing campaign that now, is being pushed back on pretty heavily. It also was sold as an alternative to smoking, a safe alternative to smoking, and it's a very clandestine way to use marijuana in front of adults and get away with it. So it's a really compelling for them, and we have to really step up our efforts to try to persuade them that there are still better ways to live your life. We have 19-year-olds getting lung transplants as a result of the wax in the vaping ruining their lungs. I don't know. The day I saw that report, I had to stop and really think about that, because that was shocking.
It's tragic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a priority of Dr. Kennard in our health department. She had been a leader with the legislature on at least legally trying to make it 21. But we appreciate everything that you do in that regard. And thank you for working with our health department.
Thank you. It's our pleasure.
Thank you. The Children's Advocacy Center.
Good evening, Mayor and trustees. My name is Mark Parr. I'm the Executive Director of the Children's Advocacy Center of North and Northwest Cook County. We are now in our 31st year of providing a whole range of services for children who are suspected victims of sexual abuse, severe physical abuse, or children who are witnesses to other crimes, including domestic violence. So we work very closely with the excellent Skokie Police Department, with DCFS and the Cook County State's Attorney's Office, helping coordinate the investigation of those reports of abuse, and then providing a whole range of advocacy, crisis intervention, supportive services, and ultimately therapy services for those children and their families. All our services are free to the families that we serve, and we are a 24-hour-a-day agency so that we are on call. Should there be an emergency situation that's reported where the child is potentially in danger, we can get a team together in a relatively short period of time and help that investigation take place. We are projecting to serve about 40 children from Skokie. This year, we're about on course for that. We're about 30 after the first 3 quarters of the year. So the needs are still very great in the communities that we serve, and we really do appreciate the support that you provide. It helps us keep those staff available, ready to respond to the need as it presents itself. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you.
The Harbor is next.
Good evening. My name is Terry Shevchuk, and I'm the government's grant manager with the Harbor. First of all, I just want to thank the Village of Skokie for your support over the years. I know you've been one of our community supporters for many years, so we certainly do thank you for that. This year, we're requesting funding to support partial salaries for a therapeutic case manager, as well as an intake coordinator to provide both outreach and intake services to youth. The Harbor has existed in the community for over 45 years, and we provide emergency shelter, transitional housing, and supportive services to homeless youth ages 12 to 21, mostly young women, in the north and northwest suburbs. Youth come to us after being locked out or running away to escape neglect, abuse, or severe family dysfunction. In addition to our short-term shelter program, we offer up to 18 months in transitional housing through both supervised group homes and scattered site apartments. All youth in our care receive intensive case management, educational support, employment skills development, life skills training, financial empowerment services, and when applicable, parenting support. Many of our youth have not had positive role models when it comes to money management, and a great number of them are in need of credit repair assistance. We provide a curriculum on financial literacy with groups throughout the year on topics like credit management, identity theft, and tax filing. Staff help youth develop a spending plan each week, and we provide monthly coaching around budgeting and saving. We monitor youth's credit scores monthly and help build and repair their credit. We serve a number of populations that are particularly vulnerable in addition to simply being youth experiencing homelessness. A conservative estimate is that 1 in 4 of our youth identify as LGBTQ, and I was recently surprised to learn from our case managers that as many as 1 in 3 have survived some form of human trafficking, and many of the youth that we serve have babies of their own. We provide safe housing and intensive support services to these youth, who often have no other place to turn, at no cost to them. We receive no reimbursement from families of the youth we serve, as many are estranged from their families, have no remaining family, or their families are also living in poverty. In our current year, we provided a cumulative 243 days of care to 4 Skokie youth and 2 children of youth, which translates to over $40,000 worth of service to date to Skokie residents. 2 of these youth were minors who were successfully reunited with their families after we provided crisis intervention. Currently, 1 Skokie youth, and I'll call her Kiara to respect her privacy, remains in our longer-term transitional housing with her infant daughter as she works to save for her future and gain valuable independent living skills. She receives declining rent subsidy and weekly in-home visits from her case manager to provide holistic parenting support, life skills training, and guidance. As Kiara is living in an apartment leased in her own name, the goal is that she'll be able to take on 100% of her rent costs within 18 months of entry and continue living there independently after discharge from our program. Thanks to community partners like the Village of Skokie, we can provide critical services which hold the possibility for intergenerational impact, because not only has Kira's life trajectory changed for the better, but her infant daughter as well. We thank you again for your partnership.
Thank you very much. The North Shore Senior Center.
Good evening. I'm Kathy Honeywell, Director of Senior and Family Services at North Shore Senior Center. And on behalf of North Shore Senior Center, I would like to thank you for your continued support of our programs, of the programs administered in the Senior and Family Services Department. Your support helps our continued services to low-income residents in Skokie who need help accessing social services and other programs. We're seeking $10,000 to support care coordination and supportive counseling. The Senior and Family Services Department at North Shore Senior Center serves 4 townships: New Trier, Northfield, Maine, Niles, and the city of Evanston. We have 2 offices. Our headquarters is in Northfield, and we have an office in Niles. The Niles office serves Niles Township in the city of Evanston. In fiscal year 19, North Shore Senior Center Senior and Family Services Department served 20,438 people and in our various programs, and 2,710 were Skokie residents. The majority of the work, especially in care coordination, takes place in people's homes. We visit people in their homes to complete comprehensive assessments. It's a 21-page assessment that covers various domains in people's lives. From that assessment, we can complete a personalized plan of care, and that plan of care assesses client needs, and it also addresses the different programs that can meet those needs. We can help connect people to services such as home-delivered meals, chore housekeeping services, respite for family caregivers, assistance in completing entitlement applications, transportation resources, and other things like that. We also support family caregivers in Skokie by having a caregiver support group here at this location upstairs with the average attendance of about 12 people. Our goal is to help Skokie seniors to have a better quality of life while remaining in their homes and aging in place with dignity as long as they choose to remain in the community. Do you have any questions?
Thank you very much. Argentium, previously SASI,
Correct.
if I remember, am I right?
Yes, correct. Previously SASSI. We still use the acronym Serving Adults, Supporting Independence. Good evening. My name is Tricia Mullen. I'm the new Executive Director for Argentium. And
This isn't your first day.
this is not my first day. My first day was about 3.5 months ago.
Oh, wow.
But thank you for asking. Still feels like my first day, though. Much to learn. I have my colleague here, Mary Ellen, who I'll turn over in just a minute. But I just wanted to say Argentium is a 40-year-old plus nonprofit organization housed in Evanston, but we serve the neighboring Skokie area. And one of our programs that we're here to talk about tonight is Argentium Senior Connections. And 2 years ago, the 2 of the staff, part-time staff that were running Senior Connections retired, and the question became what was going to happen to Senior Connections. As you can imagine, there was not a long lineup for anyone to take over a non-revenue generating program that solely relied on donations and fundraising. So Argentium stepped up to the plate and is now the home of Senior Connections, and in a time when less than 2% of funding goes towards services for older adults, we're here tonight to respectfully ask for funding to help partially support our one and only full-time position that Mary Ellen is taking, and it her position, quite frankly, the program is predicated on the success of our one and only full-time staff person, Mary Ellen.
And I
feel no pressure. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Mary Ellen Viscosal, and I'm newer than Tricia. I've been in my position as Director of Senior Connections for just 2 months. But with the background that Tricia talked about, I can say that I've come along with the program. I was part of the old Senior Connections. I was a volunteer for the old Senior Connections. At one time was on their board. So when I was offered this position, I was absolutely delighted. I can tell you that today we have about 90 individuals in our overall Senior Connections program that's been around for 3 decades. Basically, what we do is we pair older isolated adults with volunteers. It just doesn't get better than that. Those are the people that nobody seems to think about. They're kind of stuck in their homes. And today, what we really do is we bring in the world to those people. Of our 90-plus people in the program, just a little under 10% of the individuals are in Skokie. And in my short time in the program, I've had a chance to actually reach out and talk to just about everybody. And it doesn't get better than hearing people say, like Vi said to me, I cannot tell you what my volunteer is doing for me that nobody else is doing today in my life. Another woman said, and it just cracked me up, well, my volunteer comes and she watches TV, we watch ballet together, and it's amazing how much more exciting it is to do that with somebody than alone. So I could talk on and on about the beauty of the program, but I thank you for supporting it last year, and I hope you'll continue to do it so we can expand in Skokie. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and welcome aboard. Congratulations. Youth and Opportunity United, generally known as YOU.
YOU.
YOU. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Jennifer Simpson Lee, and I am the Chief Advancement Officer at Youth and Opportunity United, known as YOU. YOU respectfully request $15,000 from the Village of Skokie CDBG in continued support of our out-of-school time program. YOU serves 250 Skokie youth at 3 of the community's highest need Title I designated schools, Edison Elementary, Lincoln Junior High, and Old Orchard Junior High. The majority of youth served are low income, and currently between 10 and 36% are English language learners. YOU provides holistic after-school and summer programming in the schools at no cost to families. Our programs build academic success, foster social-emotional development, and provide enrichment opportunities. We see participants maintain and improve their academic performance and meet Illinois social-emotional learning standards. YOU's trauma-informed, relationship-based programs offers accessible social and emotional supports for underserved low-income youth alongside academic supports such as tutoring and homework assistance and enrichments that span from project-based STEM experiences to fine arts to organized sports. Embedded master degree clinicians offer clinical services such as groups and individual and family counseling in familiar, accessible settings that fill a service gap for high-need families. YOU partners with schools, families, and community organizations to offer comprehensive programming that considers the social, emotional, and academic needs of youth. CDBG funding will specifically support a youth development worker who will serve as both an activity coordinator and a life skills mentor. We are very grateful for Skokie CDBG's support of YOU since we introduced programming at our first Skokie site here in 2013, and we thank you for your consideration of this request.
Thank you, Jennifer. Comments or questions?
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Northwest Compass?
Good evening, Mayor, the trustee.
Evening.
My name is Sonia Ivanov. I'm the Executive Director of Northwest Campus, formerly known like 4 or 5 years ago as a Cedar Northwest. That's my first time here. Last year I couldn't make it because of the snow, but you know how tough Carrie is. She said, well, you're not gonna be funded. So that's my first time. We have been in business for more than 30 years and we serve the Northwest community. Basically anyone that struggle with some kind of personal, economic, or housing crisis. Fortunately, we live in a very affluent and beautiful community, but there is a lot of people that struggle with different issues, and housing is one of them, just because there is not enough affordable housing, as many of you know. The funding that we are requesting is to support our housing counseling, homeless prevention and diversion, and housing navigation. As well as wraparound services that we provide as a solution: focus case management, food pantry, career coaching, job readiness, money management, different type of life skill, legal assistance, and so forth. A couple of years ago, we were selected to be so-called a walk-in center and a lead agency in the North for initiative called Coordinated Entry, which basically coordinate every type of housing assistance, prevention, and counseling for anyone that's struggle with housing insecurity, including homelessness. We serve basically, it's kind of youth 18 to 24, veterans, seniors, anyone that is in our community and have some issue with rent assistance, mortgage, first-time buyers. It's like eviction, any type of housing issues, and any type of insecurity that they struggle with. The housing is basically the tip of the iceberg that people come to us and ask for help, but then we find out that it's whenever we do comprehensive assessment that again they need a lot more services, like a connection to benefits and legal assistance and learning a little bit more how to manage their money better and by finding a better job and so forth. That's why wraparound services and very comprehensive coordination of care is extremely important with everything else that we do. I can talk more.
Well, we have a copy of your application, which we've all reviewed, so thank you very much.
Thank you so much for
We
considering.
appreciate your being here this
Thank you.
evening. And no snow.
Yes.
So we're grateful for that. Thank you. And the last organization this evening, and thank you for your patience, Open Communities.
I'm going to bring some energy because I know you guys are probably inclined to go home. So hi, I am the second Mary Ellen you're going to hear from tonight. So there was.
Great.
I know, right? I'm Mary Ellen Ball. I'm the CEO of Open Communities. I think this is new for you all. I don't know if we've come recently, but we are the only fair housing agency here on the North Shore. So we are working every day to provide housing counseling for homeowners and renters. We are a legal aid clinic, and we do fair housing investigations and enforcement. So I am deeply grateful for your time. I love being around all of you amazing people. This is a good group. I'm going to speak quickly because you guys all want to go, and I get that. I am here to provide or to request an actual partnership with the Village of Skokie. I, for 5 years, was the carry at the City of Evanston, working for the mayor and doing all the affordable housing programs, and I used different city funds to hire Open Communities to provide this partnership to Evanston residents, and I can speak about that this would be a great tool for Skokie residents. It's a technical assistance proposal. It's a little different from everyone else's proposals. We want to do 4 workshops for you all, for landlords, tenants, and homeowners, about their rights and their responsibilities of being a good landlord and a good renter and a good homeowner. We also want to provide housing counseling for free with office hours here in Skokie about financial capacity, budgeting, how to buy your first home. We're seeing a huge increase in foreclosures of older adults, seniors, here in Skokie and all around the North Shore from HECM loans, which are reverse mortgages. So we're really looking to impact, and we're working with North Shore Senior Center. We're all about doing amazing collaboration and partnerships with people in this room and with you all. So the request is to allow us to come into the village, work more. We see Skokie residents in our office every day. We're technically in Evanston, but as you all know, Evanston, Skokie, Niles, we all have the density here. So we see a lot more renters here and in Evanston. So that's what we're here for. It's a great partnership. We want to do technical assistance, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Oh, Mary Ellen, too.
Mary Ellen, too.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Appreciate it very much. God, you've made our job difficult. I just jotted down a smattering of the issues that you all work on, and that frankly, they're issues that none of us really want to admit exist in our community, but they do. And you address them, and you do that heavy lifting. Mental health, homelessness, teenage problems, health issues, low and moderate income housing, child abuse. And we could go on. You all do great work. It's compelling. The need is great. The resources, unfortunately, are limited. But the one thing that we can promise you is that we will do our best to be helpful to you as much as the funding permits us. Carrie always gives us great guidance every year. She's kind of our miracle worker. I don't know how she does it every year with her recommendations, but we want to thank all of you for everything that you do. Beth Lindley, who I introduced earlier, also Dr. Kennard. Many of you earlier in the evening met our police chief, Tony Scarpelli. Thank you for everything that you do. We know how difficult it is to confront these problems. Some of them are just incredible, gut-wrenching challenges. So thank you very much, and we appreciate your patience this evening, but it is important for the elected officials to hear what it is that you do and the problems that you confront. And Carrie, do you have any closing words?
Not too much, but the last 44 to 66 minutes have probably made the decision-making process a little more difficult, but we'll do our best for next month. So, thank you.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thanks.
The concluding item on the agenda this evening is citizen comment. Is there anybody who wishes to address the village board? Oh, yes. Would you take the microphone and give us your name and address, please? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Sheila Jacobson. My address is 7402 Karlov. I'm here on behalf of the environment. I call the village often with questions, and this past time I called, they said, come to the board meeting if you have some concerns. First of all, I wanted to ask about styrofoam and whether or not there's any thoughts to ban styrofoam in the village or make some efforts. It seems to me that many restaurants I go to, if you're doing carryouts or if you have leftovers, very often the packaging that's offered is styrofoam, which doesn't recycle. And the second thing is about composting. And I wrote to a friend of mine that I was planning to come this evening, and he sent me a few things by email. And so I'm not even sure if the village has a composting system at the moment, because what he sent, according to what he sent me, we do, that we can request containers and compost in our yards. But then there's a number of restrictions if animals get in or if there's too many holes, and then they have to be destroyed or replaced with something different. And I guess I just looked towards Evanston. I know they have composting there, and this is something I've thought about, whether or not Skokie could implement something like that. I believe people pay extra and they compost, and the city of Evanston picks up their compost the way we have the recycling and the garbage. So
Yeah, at the last village board meeting, at the recommendation of our Sustainability Commission, we approved entering into a contract to do food recycling or composting. And that program will begin shortly. I Do you have the exact, I don't have the exact date.
Yeah, it's effective as of January 1st this year. So we kicked off 2020 with a new opportunity for residents, businesses to subscribe for the food composting service. And we, after the meeting, I'd be happy to give you the details of how to sign up for that.
Okay, thank
There
you.
still is private, there still is the ability to do private composting in your backyard. There are guidelines to ensure safety in terms of animals that might find their way into the compost. But it's logical and was developed with consultation with those who really understand composting. So it would certainly, I'm sure you'd find it to be doable and acceptable.
Oh, and also the third thing, littering, because I grew up in Skokie in the 60s, and I remember slogans at school, things like "Don't be a litter bug," and they used to distribute little bags to put in the cars, you know, to not litter on the roads. And I just find littering lately, I mean, even around Oakson Park, and there's some recycling bins, but like nothing directly in the park. And I find littering all over, and I don't feel like there's consciousness to.
As a matter of fact, I don't remember if it was 2 or 3 meetings ago, our litter committee filed a report with the village, and John is doing work on that as well.
So we've had several initiatives of late regarding litter. We have restructured the Adopt a Street program, and so if you or other individuals, families, or organizations are interested in adopting a street within our community, we have that program available through our Public Works Department. And so we revamped that during 2019, and also as part of the Litter Task Force. It was representative of businesses and citizens and Chamber of Commerce and people that worked on this issue for a number of months and made the presentation to the village board. One of the items that they focused in on was restaurants having straws contributing to, and napkins contributing to litter. And so we have a campaign that's currently underway with our restaurants to only use what we absolutely need as it relates to napkins and straws. And so we have a constant dialogue that's going on with our businesses and residents and people that are interested in reducing litter in town. We have passed a couple of ordinances that are specifically designed to reduce litter. One of those is to require certain businesses to have a trash can close to their door, their entrance. And also if there's a drive-through, then there has to be a trash receptacle within close proximity of the drive-through. And this is an issue that we continue to focus on.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And I think the task force meets tomorrow evening. You're invited if you wish to attend that meeting. I can't remember. Trustee Bromberg.
It's a New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.